Hi YouTube. I'm taking break time, so well, I had a few days break time. It was good. My leg was just killing me, so excuse the noise of my dishwasher, the pump. Uh oh, I've been busy in a manner of respect. I mean, as far as like yesterday I made some pretzel rods, and we had cream cheese and peanut butter on some of them. And Doug was putting strawberry jelly in cream cheese. And he doesn't really like pretzels, but he likes homemade ones. So, yeah, I heard we might be getting snow maybe Friday and Saturday. Bummer. Except I got my snowboard. If my leg feels good enough, I'll get out there and do a little bit. And it's good for balance anyway. Even if you don't go down a big hill, if you just go down a little one, and it can be fun. I mean, when you get older, you don't want to go too fast in case you crash and burn. So, yeah, I didn't get out last year. I was too injured still to get out there, but this year I might be all right. So, yeah. Ooh, let me get the lighting a little better, maybe. Yeah, that is a little better. Oh, maybe not. That's all right. Yeah, my daughter in law or son with their account brought it to my attention that somebody gave me a thumbs down on my cinnamon rolls. It's like, they're like, who would do that? Yeah, one of my haters. That's okay. I'm all right with that. I went out and picked up the yard, some sticks. I've got some, oh, a choke cherry bush. Well, it was more like a tree that went down and built a fire and picked up some of them and burnt them and getting ready for winter. Checked my Facebook, then went outside and come in and started doing some stuff around the house. And later on, I have some new flour, baking flour. Every time you have something new or something different, it will determine what your loaf of bread is going to be like. So later, I'm going to try some of this new stuff I have, and Doug's going to have tuna with his. And I don't know what I want. I'm kind of thinking of bread and chicken noodle soup. So I don't know. Maybe a little of each. So, but yeah. Oh, I was thinking about how many times God helped me out when I was like really down in the dumps, and I was going to ask everybody, that's counting your blessings. It's easy to overlook the blessings when you're going through a hard day, and then you forget to pray, and then you don't have those blessings. And then I was thinking about men that, oh, yell and act tough and all that. Those are the ones that make me want to fight them. It's like I just cannot stand that. I grew up like when we sat down for a meal, it was a war zone. It wasn't a meal. And back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, we ate dinner as a family more. And it was disgusting, thoroughly disgusting. They were prejudiced and loud and vile speaking, and just um, when I hear that type of thing, it's like growling and animalistic. It's like really makes me wonder. It goes back to like somebody can talk gruff and tough. I could sit here and yell blah 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 blah, and some little 5-year-old could come up and shove a knife in me, and I'd be done going blah blah blah. You know, it's the littlest person could take the life of a bigger one. Depending on the attitude. So what is yelling and what is that? It's I don't know. disgusting is what it is. You know, I mean, I lose my temper and I do yell, don't get me wrong, but I don't try to sound like an animal, and I don't try to yell to out talk somebody. But if I'm frustrated, say, like, what really gets my goat is when Doug is intentionally trying to piss me off and he succeeds, and it takes a real lot. It's probably on a day where I am rather injured. Of course, he's kind of careful too, because if he gets me too wound up, I won't do anything for him. It's like cook your own meals, and I don't care. I'll just grab like a sandwich or something, you know. So he likes my cooking. So, but yeah, I don't work for vile people, and I don't cater to them. I don't really want them around in my life, you know. So, and it did get me to thinking about. I wonder these people that are living outside of God's laws, if they realize that you will pay for it. Do you know that? Do you know that if you do something and God tells you not to do it, you'll end up paying for that? It's not a mistake if you knowingly know what you're doing, you know? It's an intention. So, I don't know. Just talking, just telling you what's on my mind lately. Watching a Robin Hood video, Robin's Hood. He's acting like Jonathan Kleck being in the belly of the whale, the when the whale swallowed Jonah. One of my favorite stories, kind of close to my heart. I named my son Lucas Jonah, so. And Jonathan David, you probably all heard that before, but yeah. So, because the story does really say a lot about, oh, walking away from God when you know He's there, when He tells you to do something and we don't do it, and then we wonder why things don't go the way that we want them to in our lives, you know? People do wonder that. They really do. So, I mean, uh, I guess I can't really go in an area where I want to go right now. Maybe another day. It's beyond me how people know better and do something stupid anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, excuse me. One moment. Yeah. Oh, another week. I had the news on a little bit this morning until my antenna went out. I actually wanted to catch the weather, which I did. And it's beautiful today. It's the second day without rain, and we've been getting rain just about every single day, so it's really nice to have a break. Although walking around outside, it's really gooey because our yard is very wet. We have springs right below the ground. You can dig a hole and water will come up in there. And we have really deep artesian wells here. Really fresh spring water, the best probably, or some of the best in the world. So we're pretty fortunate, and that is really the beauty of our place here is all the water, um, fresh water, good stuff. So, as a matter of fact, and I didn't dare say anything, but if it were in hard times, I would share. But there was somebody in town looking for somebody with fresh spring water that they could get. And it's like, no, sorry. You're going to have to buy it or something. I don't know. But, you know, yeah. Like I say, if times were hard, I'd be sharing, but, you know, and they will be. I'm sure of that. So, yeah. But I thought about it and then I thought better of it. It's like, no, I don't want to put online. It was on an online community page and local. And it's like, no, I'm not going to tell everybody in this area because there's other water. We live in a state that has 10,000 lakes. That doesn't count the rivers, the streams, the creeks and um, potholes, ponds. So it's like, no, no, there's water around. They're not starving for water. So there's places in town too that, well, that's fluoridated, but you know, yeah. But there's places they can do like I did when we changed pipes on our well. I got a Brita water filter and used that till my till the till it settled. It's like a drain field. Whenever you have like water, spring water, it goes through gravel and sand before it gets to your sand point and comes up to your pump into your pipes. And the sand and the gravel is what filters it, like all the iron and calcium and different things that are mineral water that's in the water. So hard water. Well, ours is pretty soft for being right out of the ground. So it's good. Some wells have like a taste to them, and ours is sparkling. We're lucky. Yeah, we are. But we did pound our own well, and that's not easy by hand. When you do it by hand, it's not like having a machine drill it for you. So, and I've done that a few times in my life. So, one time I had just had a baby that year and pounded my own well with a 19-year-old kid. I was 24 and he was 19. And we pounded it 23 feet. So first dug down about 3 feet, and so it was a well house, a pump house, underground. So below the frost level, and then pounded that. So hit some bedrock, bent my sand point and a bunch of lengths and couplings, and had the neighbor come with his tractor and he pulled them out until I got my sand point, and then I couldn't afford the fancy sand point I had the first time and had to buy a cheaper one, but we got that down in there and had some great water again because the water table had shifted. I lived up by the lake, and it moves. They move around, so sometimes. But here, if it moved around, it just moved to more water. So anyway, different situation. I lived on a hill there, right above the lake, and here I live below all the hills around me. Like my neighbors, they have deep wells. Ours is a shallow well. So, yeah. Well, I got some squash growing outside still. They're about that big. They're butternut, which will be about like that. And I don't think they're gonna make it before it snows. And I have some tomatoes too that are flowering. But everything was so cold and rainy this summer, unless we had a greenhouse, which maybe this year I might be able to. Well, I can probably use like that old motor home. It's got skylights and that, so as soon as it's like 40 or 50 degrees outside, I could start seeds out in that and get it going quicker. So yeah. Then we've been looking at like trailers just to pull in here and use this for storage, and something that has like bunches of windows or something for my plants would be cool. But we've been just looking. But Like with my cigarettes this morning, Doug come in and he was talking to me and I was cold, so he opens my window, didn't say nothing, just walked over and opened my window. And I'm like, I was cold anyway. He's like, well, I'm sorry if my choking on that smoke offends you. And I said, don't worry about it. I said, as soon as I get my Social Security this coming year, I'll buy a little camper or a trailer and move in it, you know? So, or something, you know, something like that. So, whatever, you know, doesn't matter to me either way. Because there's so many nights he had music going and the TV, sat there smoking 2 packs of cigarettes and drinking when my kids and I were trying to go. I was going to college and my kids were trying to sleep to go to school. And it's like consideration. I don't have too much. I mean, I don't want him to die. And I keep in my room with my cigarettes if he's around. It's not like I walk out intentionally blowing smoke in his face, you know. So if he walks into my room when I'm smoking, that's his problem. You see what I'm saying? So I'm considerate up to a point. And that really, even with trying to go to school and him partying all night and that shit, um, when we got together, it was a promise that we had made each other that we were going to clean up our act. I quit drinking. I was drinking a little bit, not enough where it affected my work or school or anything like that. But and I quit smoking pot for like 10 years, you know, until my kids were growing up. You know, that type of thing. That's what we were going to do together, and he did not do that. So he quit for a year one time. He quit smoking, but he quit for a year drinking, and he was the biggest bitch I ever saw in my life. Some people just get like that. So that's like you call a dry drunk, you know. And he wouldn't consider himself alcoholic, but when he doesn't count beer as a food group, but when it's the major part of your diet, it's a food group, you know. So, and it doesn't make for a very healthy person, you know. And I do detox every day. I've showed you all this before, but and I keep active for my lungs. I have perfect lungs, but chloride, it's a two-part thing, and that so you take 3 drops of each and mix it, and that's detox, natural, every day. Plus, baking soda is also a natural detox, and I drink quite a bit of baking soda. That helps with my Morgellons. So, but yeah, like at night when I'm laying awake in pain and I light a cigarette, the nicotine does help with the pain, and I'm not gonna quit smoking. So it's like one of my only few pleasures. So anyway, at least I'm not gonna quit right now. I may sometime, and I may not. I'm not sure. So, but anyway, let's see what else is going on. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. On the news, so I was watching, oh, I think it was like CBS Morning or one of them, you know. They had, I didn't get to see the rest of the story because I got up and went to the bathroom and was making coffee and then caught the weather, and then I was moving around doing stuff in the morning here, and there was a deer that went in some hair salon in New York City, and I guess just really wreaked havoc. And all these women were screaming like, ah, ah, And the poor deer, I mean, if they would know wildlife enough to know that once they screamed a little bit, they might have wanted to chill out. You know, it's like if you're out in the woods and you start screaming at a bear, that's just going to make it madder. Just like that deer, it would get more upset. I raised a baby deer. I know how they think. And the calmer you are, it's like with a baby and a mom, the calmer you are, the calmer your child's going to be, you know. And that goes with dads too. If you have a dad that's not, if he's radical, 9 times out of 10, especially if it's a male child, that child's going to be radical. And if the mother's kind of a, well, there goes the B word again, but then she has a tendency to probably raise a mini bitch. You know, that's what they try to do. They'll pass it on to the next generation without a thought. They do not care. As long as that child is lower than them in attitude, they did their job for Satan. That's what they do. So, and I tried to teach my kids that if you can raise yourself above who raised you, including me, raise yourself above, and the next generation is going to be all that much better. And that's the name of the game. At least that's what I'm doing. I'm stopping the garbage of the last generation in its tracks, whether it wants to admit it or not. I don't care. So, like I say, when I have, like, my birth mother was passing around post memes, and I got rid of most of my family on my Facebook because when she was like 70 at that time, passing around memes that said, uh, I may suck, but I don't do it for free or something like that. It's like, that's nasty, old woman. I am not even going to look at this garbage out of my own blood. So that's why, if anybody wonders why I won't have something to do with you, or if people try to call me and I don't pick up the phone, don't wonder why. This is why. Because you're not controlling yourselves, you know. And when you have great grandchildren and you're still passing around memes that I wouldn't have even laughed at 13, well, there's a lot of things I didn't even know at 13, but that's another story, you know. But yeah, I can't handle it, or rather, I'm not going to handle it. That's not where God's grace doesn't come in to the picture at that point for me, you know. Then I'm pretty much done with the person. I mean, if it were just a little bit, but then she literally gaslit me. If you know what narcissism is and gaslighting, set me up for a fall, basically. Um, Passed around another meme that implied putting a baby in a dumpster and that it could have been me. So when I called her out on it in Messenger in private, she started talking about it in public like I had done something wrong to her, you know? Yeah. Then when I went down to visit, I was going to spend time with my sister and her heart problem, but I ended up getting towed all over the place, and I had just was recovering from a stroke, and they had me, and I spent most of the time out in the sun to condition myself. But really, I mean, it was like she thought I was going to steal something from her or something. I wasn't able to sit in her home and feel at home where she went somewhere without me or something. I don't know. It just was weird like that to me. I didn't feel at home at all. So, anyway, but she didn't raise me. And even the person that raised me, I never felt at home there either. So, yeah, everybody's different. And that's another one with a loose brain. Now, she would have laughed about, or she would have pretended that she didn't like that meme. That's the type of person she was. She'd be like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't let something like that bother you." That's what I would have heard out of that shit. It's like, no, it does bother me. And being a grandmother of granddaughters, I'm even worse than I used to be when it comes to misplaced sexuality. It's like, no, we've got children in this world to worry about now. It's time to grow up and stop worrying about ourselves or what we can do for ourselves. Worry about what their lives are going to be like and what kind of world are we going to leave them emotionally, mentally, um, ethically, you know. Cheers. So, well, anyway, those are the types of things that are always on my mind. Not just getting down on that generation that could have done better, but the ones right now that have children that can do better, or the ones that are um, out there, even if you don't have kids, if you're around somebody else's, how important is their soul to you? You know, if I, okay, if I told a joke about something sexual and that's misplaced, that's not funny, it's not a joke, it's not supposed to be a joke, and say some younger person or even an older person thought that was funny. So, say if they went and acted it out or acted on something like that because they thought, well, Barb does that too, and they're okaying it in their mind, then I would be guilty of their downfall. What if they got like a sexual disease or got raped or murdered or something because of something I passed around and was a party to? I would be guilty of murder. And you really got to take things so serious. Every word you say, everything you think and do in this world is going to affect another person. It's very important. It is, you know, for real. Well, I do love you. I love everybody so much. If I could express that, if you could open up my heart, I hope you don't, but if you could open it up and look inside, you'd be very surprised at what you saw. Because I would never turn anybody away for true friendship. But there are people I have blocked here because, and friends over on Facebook that, like I say, are family or whatever, because it didn't matter if I was in their life or not, that type of thing. So, um, why punish myself for their downfalls, you see? So if I was on there and I saw things that gave me sorrow on a daily basis, why do that to myself? Yeah, it's not worth it. So people will have a whole bunch of subs, because they never block anybody and they usually don't talk to their subs, and then they'll have bigger programs and flashier pictures and whatnot. Um, because that's what they care about is their ratings, you know. Well, I care too. I do. Of course, people want people to like them. I wish everybody in the world would like me, but it's not possible, I'm sure, you know. And I'm sure if they looked deep enough, and if I did, we'd find things that we truly liked about each other. But when it comes to leading people wrong and lying to people and that type of thing, I can't stop being who I am. And I'll say something about it. I always will. So I'm going to leave you on that note. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to my new subs and my ones that have been with me since I've been up. I appreciate you all, and I'll be back as soon as I can. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.